The unknown will become known. We will protect you. The Fantastic Four! First Steps is the best live-action adaptation of the first family of superheroes, which granted is faint praise given the adaptations we have gotten before this. You have the 1994 debacle that was doomed from the very start, and then you had the 2005 and 2007 versions that, look, Chris Evans as the Human Torch was terrific, and then you had Jessica Alba sleepwalking through the role of Sue Storm. You did have Michael Chiklis as Ben Grimm, and then you also had, I can't ever pronounce the guy's name that played Reed Richards, but you also had the late, great Julian McMahon as Dr. Doom. Then you also had the 2015 adaptation that, yeah. I mean, it was a great idea to have a horror-inspired version of the Fantastic Four superpowers and all that. It's just a shame that the movie is a fucking mess. A goddamn tonally inconsistent mess with reshoots and wigs and a whole bunch of bullshit. No wonder nobody thought they were actually going to be able to do the Fantastic Four justice. Well, they did the Fantastic Four justice in this massive budget adaptation with a terrific cast, loads of nostalgia, loads of charm, and just the picture-perfect comic book presentation. Besides Superman, you have this to just sink your teeth into, or you could sink your teeth into both like I have, and you can enjoy superhero movies, regardless of which one it is, DC, Marvel, or some offshoot. It doesn't matter, but I fucking love the Fantastic Four First Steps. Is it the most wholly original story? No. Are there some things that maybe comic book, aficionados could nitpick? Sure. But they capture the tone perfectly. The 60s look absolutely is absorbing. You have to see this on the big screen. And you have Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, who, my God, what a beauty she is. You do have Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. And then you also have Joseph Quinn, who's had quite the streak going to movies. He plays, the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. And then you have Ben Grimm, played by Ebon Moss-Bachrach. Had to make sure I wrote that so I didn't say Burt Bacharach. And if anybody remembers the Austin Powers stuff, you will love that. Or you will hate it. I don't know. But yes, they are the Fantastic Four. And if you have seen the trailer, they are soon going to become the Fantastic Five because Sue is pregnant. Now they must decide what they are going to do. Balance their superhero powers by a cosmic rays and welcome a child into this world. But, well, things are going to kind of be on a bit of a time crunch, and also there's the idea that maybe the world won't be around for them to raise a child in because the Destroyer, Devourer of Worlds, Galactus, played terrifically by Ralph Ineson from The Witch. Yes, I know it's called The Witch. Work with me here, and a whole slew of movies where Ralph Ineson is usually the best part of any movie that he is in, even if the movie itself is not all that great. But, of course, when you have a Destroyer of Worlds that goes from planet to planet devouring, you must have somebody that picks out these planets. So you have the Silver Surfer, played by the incredibly gifted, the incredibly talented, and the incredibly gorgeous Julia Garner. My God, what a terrific actress she is. She heralds the arrival of Galactus. So basically the four must figure out what they're going to do to bring the child into the world and also have a world where they can actually raise this child. You have the parents and you have the Thing and Human Torch being the best uncles ever. Natasha Lyonne is also in this, and I cannot overstate just how great this aesthetic is. It absolutely just leaps off the fucking screen. The color palette, the robot Herbie, I almost wanted to call him Hermie. But that being said, we can't go with the Futurama reference, but the little that kind of stuff. And he's got a tape deck stuff in his, little visor deal. And it's just great. It's like a Jetsons-like thing, except this is actually good. The Jetsons was fine for what it was. But God forbid, if they ever do a live-action adaptation of the Jetsons, it will probably just bomb. What won't bomb, hopefully, is this movie. Now, a $200+ million budget, and they have advertised this thing like fucking crazy. There are nice little Easter eggs. There are references to other, villains and associates that they can, carry on into another universe, into other films. I will say that this does tie into another upcoming Marvel project. Now, some have questioned whether Marvel is back. like any, cinematic universe, whatever, anything, whether it's based on superheroes, whether it's based on horror, it doesn't matter. It's going to hit a slump. Not every movie is going to be a multi-billion-dollar hit or even a multi-hundred-million-dollar hit. Some are going to fucking flop. Morbius. Some are going to, flop because the, universe is being exploded. Blue Beetle, Black Adam. But the thing is this movie is just so pitch perfect with its tone. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Pedro Pascal is terrific in this as the genius Reed Richards, who just wants to use science and reasoning to figure this out while balancing his emotions. Vanessa Kirby, who, a fucking smoke show. I mean, with respect, an absolute smoke show. She's the perfect Sue Storm. And Joseph Quinn is terrific as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Ben Grimm, I like the actor, I like the actor's voice. Ben Grimm looks a little bit dodgy at times, but does look a little more throwback. The only real criticism I have is when the kid does come along, the infant. Man, you thought Renesmee looked ridiculous in the Twilight movies. Oh, there are some parts where I'm like, oh, that was fun CGI. But it does have that big stakes feel. Galactus is actually terrifying. And I just also want to say, if anybody has an issue with, the Silver Surfer being a woman, fucking deal with it. If you have somebody that's a really good actor that honors the character who fucking cares what the gender is, that's all I gotta say. And you have Julia fucking Garner in silver body paint. Who wouldn't want to see that? I definitely want to see that, but I digress. Maybe I will profess my love to Julia Garner one day. Shut up. But they build this nicely. They have a nice little beginning where they've set up, how the Fantastic Four came to be, how they fit in with society, how they rescue people and stuff like that. It's in New York, Times Square. And then the stakes get up to eventually where we are going to see, can they stop Galactus? What is actually going to happen? Are they going to be able to save the Earth? Or will this whole world be torpedoed before, anything can get started with this Fantastic Four? I really do hope this succeeds because it was very terrific. It was just a great balance of comedy with some heart and loads of charm coming out your goddamn eyeballs and coming out the silver screen. So yeah, I'm going to get into spoilers, so check it out in theaters. It's out right now. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So basically, we open with, the great aesthetic and just the headquarters that they have and just the Fantastic Four symbolism on their boots, on their goddamn ships, on all that stuff. And the people are like, thank you, Fantastic Four. Johnny Storm absorbs fire from, a multi-building fire to save them. You have Ben Grimm, who has fit in as the Thing, but he does kind of maybe have a possible romance with Natasha Lyonne coming up. You forget just how fucking New York she is until you hear her talk. And it is just, it's charming. Need subtitles though, because it's really thick. Boy, that's what she didn't say to me. But, yes, Fantastic Four got their superpowers from cosmic rays. And now, we also see that Sue is pregnant. They're worried because they thought that they would never be able to have a kid. But now the worry also comes, is the kid going to end up like them? Is the kid going to end up normal? Is there going to be some kind of mixing of DNA and cosmic rays? What's actually going to happen? Reed is trying to figure this stuff out. Meanwhile, we see the arrival of the Silver Surfer, who heralds the arrival of Galactus. And Johnny Storm chases her. She says something to the equivalent in her language of die with yours. And then there we go from there. So Johnny gets that and is trying to, figure out more of why she would say that. Because it's actually something said a little bit later. Or it's translated a little bit later by her when they go to visit Galactus. But I like the translation record player thing that they have. And just the modern yet retro feel of the sets. It really does feel vibrant and alive. It really does feel like it left off a goddamn comic book. And then you have, Sue and Reed trying to balance all this stuff. He had the robot building a crib. But she's like, well, you should be building that. This should be something that we're doing together. And then he examines the baby. And she actually can turn herself somewhat invisible so to see the kid in her uteri, as it were. And yeah, basically she is she says the kid's fine. The kid's absolutely fine. So once basically it becomes obvious that things are going to be fucked, they follow the Silver Surfer and try to track Galactus. They're going to track them. And they end up at this one planet that's basically getting devoured from the inside out. Now, it's the ship thing from Galactus, instead of whatever smoke monster bullshit we got from the 2007 version. And basically they get pulled into Galactus's beam and into the ship. And the Silver Surfer's there. And that's basically when she translates the whole thing, die with yours. You know, the whole thing that she said in her language before that. And then they go to talk to Galactus. They try to negotiate. And Galactus basically, there's a little bit of sympathy for Galactus because he's sort of cursed to devour these planets to maintain his life and stuff like that. And Galactus basically says, okay, I see you have a kid. You give me that kid so I can be free of this curse and you can have your planet saved. Well, we don't want to do that. Well, fuck you. I'll devour your planet and your child. And then they try to escape. Silver Surfer takes, flight and is following them. And even at one point, when they're trying to go through this hyperspace thing, gets her hand right in Sue's uteri, as it were. Blonde on blonde action, getting deep inside. Who'd want to see that? Again, I would. But we then go on from there. We see really, really cool part of with a black hole where the Silver Surfer gets sent into it. That's a great goddamn scene. That's some great shit. Because we get a lot of setup before this. We get some, good, a little bit of, nice, story building with Natasha Lyonne's character and Ben Grimm, where he picks up the car and stuff like that and impresses the school children. And then she says, next time, throw it at him. I'll teach him. Because, again, New York. And everybody's instantly fucking charming, and the charm continues. The robot, if they do Herbie toys, that's going to be great. That is going to be fucking great. Those are going to sell like hotcakes. And basically, Sue, through all this stress and all this stuff, the baby's coming. The baby's coming. Lol. But anyway, after they manage to send the Surfer into the black hole, they shoot around because they don't have a lot. They do the slingshot thing as opposed to the movie Slingshot that was really terrible. They get back to Earth and they say, well, we tried to, negotiate with Galactus, but he wanted our child and we said no. And the people were like, oh, we all have children. Why should yours be more important? Why should we all die for that? Now, you kind of can see their point, but at the same time, they were all praising the fact that they're going to become the Fantastic Five. It's like, wait a second, you're going to have our planet destroyed to save your kid, but then you won't have a goddamn... You may have superpowers, you can go elsewhere, we have to stay here. So, we get more anger from these people. Some nice stuff there. Reed is still trying to figure out a plan to stop Galactus. He came up with this thing, Archimedes' lever, and came up with a way to build all these teleporters, because he'd been working on this teleportation thing with teleporting this egg, and he comes up with a way to basically teleport Earth to another part of the universe, so with a sun, obviously, and that way everything will be good. And so they're building all this stuff, but nothing's going to go right, obviously, because we still have time left. We do get more nice character building between them. And then they are going to teleport the planet. And then suddenly, the Surfer's like, I kind of want to keep my planet around. So that's what we're going to do. Because that's the thing. Made the deal with Galactus to save their planet. So they must find planets to conquer. Blows up all these teleport things except one in Times Square. Conveniently where the Fantastic Four are. Meanwhile, Johnny has been coming up with translations and audio recordings of various things that have happened to these other planets, such as the screams of the people and the die with yours meme, or the die with yours line. So, there were all these TVs installed in Times Square, all these old school TVs, really fucking hilarious. Hilarious just how well it fits. But, there's a thing where Galactus is starting to arrive, not quite, and Johnny lures the Surfer there, and basically gets her around all these TVs and starts playing all this stuff. And it's torture. It's absolute monstrous torture. And it's explained about the planet, how they became the Herald, and there you are. then basically, and by the way, I explained some of this in a little bit more detail in the other reviews. And also, there's lore out there and stuff. So if you're looking for a deep narrative on all these comics, sorry. Sorry, guys. I mean, I like some of these movies, but I'm not going to get that deep into the lore. I'm going to go there for the entertainment and the fact they capture the spirit well. But basically, the idea is the Surfer's like all upset, realizing what she's done in service of trying to save her world. And Johnny does a really good job there trying to, get through to her. And then basically, says, take Franklin, leave, and maybe, the guilt of letting the planet die will eventually leave you, something like that. So Galactus is arriving, and Reed comes up with the idea, here's what we need to do. We have one more teleportation thing left. We need to get Galactus on the planet, and we need to find a way to teleport Galactus into the goddamn, the area we were going to put Earth. We have a 37-second window. Harkening back to the 12 seconds that Sue said it would take for her pregnancy test to be done so she can find the iodine. Well, 12 seconds is oddly specific. 37 seconds, oddly specific, not a lot of time. And then, obviously, things will not go all that well, but the Silver Surfer's out of the goddamn picture. And there was a little thing earlier with, a cartoon. The Fantastic Four cartoon is clobbering time from the thing. No, that's just in the cartoon. I can't actually say that. And then we get Sue. We get all the four working on this idea to put Franklin, the kid, the Renesmee style kid, in the goddamn center of this whole thing. Teleport Galactus in the 37-second window, save the kid basically, and just teleport Galactus away. So Galactus won't find them for like millions of years, I guess. I would think as big as Galactus is, he probably could cover a lot of space quickly in that ship, but sure. I do also have to say seeing the inside of the ship was really, really nice. A little bit earlier when we saw how big Galactus was. Ralph Ineson's voice is very terrifying, but also soothing, oddly enough, like he could read audiobooks. But as opposed to read other books out loud over recordings, which should technically be audiobooks. But Reed ends up realizing this plan's not going to go exactly great because Galactus gets almost to the teleportation thing and then stops. Because what they did is they also tried to swap out the baby for something that looked the same. Well, Johnny flash fried his eyes, so his eyes are a little bit cloudy and all that stuff. And then, yeah, things weren't going all that great there. They were trying to throw... the thing was trying to throw stuff at him. And the reason you're probably wondering as to why all the buildings, like, with people being in them, people aren't screaming. Well, there was a character called Mole Man, played by Paul Walter Hauser. For some reason, they got this worthless F-fuck in here. But they ended up making a deal because he liked Sue, but he didn't really like Reed. I mean, there's lore about that, and I'm not going to get into it, mainly because I know a surface amount. But he was in a place called Subterranea because he just didn't like people, that kind of stuff, and he didn't want to be shunned by society. They make a deal with him basically to take all the people, evacuate the 10 million people there, and whatever. It's a movie. Let's just let it happen. So the people are all there, and then eventually the people are all there in the underground. Galactus is stepping on the Earth, dust and cracks and all that, but the Earth is holding. Despite the fact that Galactus is like 200 feet tall. Much, much shorter in this than I would have imagined. I would have imagined him being much, much taller. But the whole thing is, he gets just to the teleporter, and then, wait a second. He uses his laser vision thing, spots the fact that the thing's over there in the headquarters, and the robot Herbie is there and trying to entertain him, and then realizes, oh shit, let me try defense mechanisms. And then he reaches through and just pulls the stuff out. And has the baby. The robot's seemingly fine, by the way. And we get the baby there, that Renesmee style kid, and then we end up having basically Reed is being stretched out like goddamn crazy at this point. He's being destroyed, like just stretched like crazy, but it's eventually going to hurt his body as far as he can stretch. Thing and Johnny team up to where, oh, say a thing, no, I'm not going to say this, clobbering time, and they do this, and they manage to just knock Reed out from being stretched. And finally, Sue goes full protective mom and just blasts this gigantic creature, this gigantic devourer of worlds with her invisibility powers, just all that force power, just blasting him and pushing him back. She's like, that's like, you don't mess with a mother's kid. Pushing him back, pushing him back. The thing is taking a toll on her body. And oh my God, Reed doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. Like, Sue, stop. No, he's got the kid, keeps doing it and doing it. And I mean, and succeeding. I'm getting goosebumps. Like I was in the theater. Pushes him into the teleportation thing. They manage to rescue the kid. And then he goes through the goddamn thing. But there's still time, and he starts to reach through. And then Johnny says, tell Franklin that Uncle Johnny loves him. And goes, and then boom, the surfer goes right there in place of Johnny, knocks him through in his little power dealie here. And boom, knocks him right through, and that's it. Except Sue's dead. That's it. Okay, that's it all for that. Oh, wait. Reed tries CPR. That doesn't work. Put the baby on him, and the healing power of the child brings Sue back. Everything's happy. They skip out on the talk show that they were going to do because the kid's too young for that. And then we get 4 years later, the kid's having a story read to him. A Fire in the Sky is the name of a book that he wanted to read. Not The Fire in the Sky. That'd probably be a little terrifying for, well, maybe not terrifying for a kid like that. But the kid's got the power cosmic. That's a variation of it. And suddenly the kid wants to read a book. She goes to get the book. And then suddenly sees somebody else there. A cloaked figure with a silver mask. It's Doom. It's Dr. Doom. And then we have a Fantastic Four 60s cartoon end credits thing. And that is it for the Fantastic Four First Steps. A lot of fun. A lot of goddamn fun. A+ from me. I had a great goddamn time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland. Until we meet again, happy trails to you.